Hello, ROS developers, and welcome to the ROS Developers Podcast, the podcast that gives you insights from the experts about how to program your robot with ROS. This is Ricardo Telle from The Construct, and today I would like to dedicate this podcast to all those people that are thinking about creating a robotics business based on ROS. So you know that you have a lot of things that you can already use off the shelf if you base your robotics products on ROS. So if you are thinking about that, then I encourage you that you should follow that dream and create your robotics company based on ROS. So this podcast is dedicated to you guys. And then today also, so we are going to interview somebody who has followed this path. So he has actually created his own company on robotics, and it's based on ROS also. But before going into that, let me remind you that at The Construct, we have created an online ROS Learning Academy. So now that you are confined by the coronavirus, maybe that's a good chance for you to go to our online academy, which is called Robot Ignite Academy. And then you go there. I will put a link below there on the show notes. Then you can learn everything about ROS, starting from zero if you want. So we start, for example, we have a path for beginners that starts by teaching you even Linux for robotics, Python for robotics, and then we go and attack the ROS concepts and different concepts. I mean, from basics of ROS, messages and topics and so on, into navigation or also manipulation, perception, OpenAI, etc., etc. So have a look. I will put a link here below on the show notes. And now it's the time that we go to interview the person who is here waiting for the interview. His name is Faysal ElChama. And Faysal is the founder and CEO of the company called ROBOAds. And he is going to explain us what is his company about, what is the robotics product that he has created and selling, and how he has reached this point. Welcome to the podcast, Faysal.
Hi, Ricardo. How are you today? Thanks for having me.
My pleasure here. So here is a rainy day, but we are having a nice time in the afternoon. Thank you. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
And yeah, so was looking for information about your company, which is called ROBOAds. And this company, so I was looking for information, but I couldn't get too much information on the web. So can you please explain to the audience what is ROBOAds?
Sure. So RoboAds is an all-in-one mobile kiosk platform. So you can imagine screens on wheels. It's literally a robot with four 55-inch screens in 4K resolution.
Wow.
And the concept here is that it's a robot where you can just imagine digital signage. However, it's a mobile unit. So, like if you look into, I think a lot of your viewers are familiar with humanoid robots. Here, we're talking about a robot that can take any shape or design, since the design is the screen itself.
Oh, okay. So so based on the images that I have seen on your website, so I don't understand this concept that you mentioned about any shape. What do you mean by any shape?
So, for example, let's say today I want to have a robot that looks like a human being, a real human being. So in this case, I can showcase a real human on the robot on 55-inch screens, which is almost human size. And then if I want to change from a lady to a male to different visions, I can show different things on the robot.
Okay, so what you mean is that there are your robots, they are composed mainly of big screens, and then you can project on those screens whatever you want to project.
Exactly. So there's like the robot contains hardware, edge computing hardware, and CMS, which is content management system. And we're able to display videos in real time, and we can play multiple videos or pictures, or even have telepresence from remotely.
Okay. And then what is the main business model of your company?
So basically, what we do is we rent these robots for mainly to trade shows, to retail, malls, airports, wherever there's human traffic. So the concept
Conferences,
here,
for example.
conferences, wherever there's any type of events.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, for instance, I'm an exhibitor, I'm in a trade show,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to do some marketing. So you can see a lot of robots these days. Companies are renting out these robots and they're standing there. And when you have robo ads, you can actually showcase your products and services on the robot. So
On the
robo
roads,
ads
yeah.
is actually a B2B robot.
Okay, I see. Yeah, because when you rent those robots for your conferences or for your uh, global events, then what happens is that the robot that you are renting, the ones that are not belonging to your company, okay? So those ones, they have a given shape and they have a given message. But the only thing that they do is to attract attention to your stand, to your position. But in your case, is one step beyond because you can project on the robot itself the message that you want the robot to show. So it's directly showing the message of your company.
Definitely. And maybe I could give some further background of like how did we end up here?
Yeah,
So
please.
basically, for the past 13 years, I've participated in over 100 trade shows worldwide.
Okay.
And I always had one main question: how can I attract visitors to my booth? How can I
Uh-huh.
stand out? Number two is that, because like in trade shows, there's like hundreds, if not thousands, of other companies, and it's
Yeah,
always busy. So
competing
that
with
was
you.
exactly. So that was the number one concern, where you're investing a lot of money, you want to showcase your products and services, yet you want to get that attraction for
Mm-hmm.
visitors to come to your booth, especially the walking by clients. The second thing is that, like the clients, people these days, they tend to forget. So they could visit you at your booth and then they could forget about what happened. So what I kept thinking about is, what is the way that I can attract people to my booth while giving them, like, showing something that they would never forget, giving them a memorable experience.
Uh-huh.
And after 13 years, one day I thought about it, and I thought, why don't I have a robot that can not only uh, like attract people, but can also showcase your products and services?
Mm-hmm.
I spent a year and a half researching almost every robot on Earth. I looked throughout all the robots out there, and what I found out is that either the robots are humanoid, where like we deploy them in the trade show, people are attracted to the robot itself and not to your company.
Yes, very
And
good point. Very
that's
good
number
point.
one. Number two, because I'm the client and that's what I faced. Number two, people also focus on a dancing robot and then they walk away and they forgot about the business itself. And what they remember, what
Very
they
good point.
remember from the whole experience is, oh, that dancing robot at the booth.
Okay.
So after researching all the robots out there, I realized that there's a need for a new breed of robots, a new generation of service robots, which is a robot that can actually showcase products and services. The focus now is on the robot, yes, but also on the visuals that the robot display. And that's how I came up with RoboAds.
Okay, it's a very good idea, very good points. Based on that is completely true because I have suffered that also in my case, and it's completely true that the people go for the robot and then they see the robot and very happy to see the robot, but then they forget about your company or your product or wherever you are. So that's a very good point. And then if I have, for example, one let's say one event and then I want to have your robot. So what do I have to do? Do I have to buy it? Do I have to rent?
So usually in the events business, like you're like taking a trade show for, let's say, 3 days or 2 days,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't want to buy and spend a lot of money for a robot for just for 2 3 days and then throw it away.
Yeah.
So the concept, the way we do, is that we offer robot as a service. So our
Uh-huh.
clients can rent out the robot for a minimum of 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and we'll bring the robot. We will display your products and services, and we'll also help to map the location around your booth. So the robot will be going back and forth around your booth and displaying your products and services. Plus,
Okay.
we are also in developing further things where there could be voice recognition, and the robot can discuss further things about your products and services if you want to have a communication with the robot. But at this stage, we're focusing more on the digital signage part of the business.
Okay, okay. So then, if I have understood, when you bring the robot to the conference or the event of your client, then you are also sending somebody to operate it, or I mean, to do the setup routine. So I mean, to create the map of the environment where it is going to be moving that robot, so on.
Yeah. So the business model goes like this. Now, if let's say we're dealing with the client directly,
Mm-hmm.
we have to send someone, because the client, he's not a robotic expert. What they're
Yes,
expecting is a service. They need
yes,
a robot to come in. They think it's just an easy thing where they just the robot goes around. They don't
yeah,
understand there's mapping involved, there's
yes.
lidars involved, there's a lot of details that has to be taken into consideration. So this is our job for the end user, is to provide a complete solution,
Hmm.
from the time of showcasing all the videos and the products till delivering the robot, and till the last day of the trade show and pulling it back.
Uh-huh.
Now, when we are dealing with distributors, well, here their job is to buy the robot, and then they would rent out that robot to their clients. That's the
Uh-huh, I
business
see.
model.
I see. So that's a second type of business. Is when you have,
Yes,
well, you mentioned it, it's somebody else that buy you the robots, and then they do take care of all these handling and all these managing of their customers. So they would take
exactly.
care. Okay, okay.
I
And
mean,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, for like what we think, like in the future, how we imagine it, well, we hope to have distributors all around the world, and they would be the ones who will be buying these robots and renting them out. So
Okay.
if you look at the trade show market, for
Hmm.
example, you might not know this, but there's over 32,000 trade shows worldwide,
Wow.
over 4.5 million exhibitors in the world.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
that's a lot of number, and we're not even talking about malls, retail, airports. No, I'm just still talking about trade shows. Where that's where the idea came from in the first place.
okay, so you have a huge market to serve.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. And where are you based? Because I seen on your
So,
website that you are from the United Arab Emirates, but also your company is in the USA.
yeah. So RoboAds is a American company. It's incorporated in the US.
Uh huh.
Also, the trademarks, the US and worldwide trademarks, belongs to RoboAds Incorporation. So it's completely an American company.
Hmm.
However, we actually chose to launch from Dubai because we have a lot of interest from governmental entities here, especially that we were expecting for the Expo 2020, which was going to take place in October this year. And that's a trade show where by itself it's 6 months and expecting around 25 million visitors. So
Wow.
that was a good starting point for us, and from there we wanted to send all our team back to the US and carry, and like we could take UAE as a proof of concept for us before going to the US and
I
going through
see.
that market.
I see. Because uh, so you are launching right now, isn't it? So when did you launch actually?
Well, actually, well, we were supposed to launch in March last month, but with current
Yeah.
unfortunate events with COVID-19, we had to delay that launch. But at the end of the day, like this is something that is affecting all the companies worldwide,
Hmm.
and we're not gonna wait till things are just stable again. So we want to be part of the solution to help against, or to help to against spreading the coronavirus. So we will be launching on social media, and showcasing videos about our robots. And hopefully, when things are stable, we can have the robot physically there and people can come and see it.
Okay, but you now mentioned that you want to be part of the solution. So what do you mean about that? So
Well, in today's world, you can either be passive or you can be active. You either gotta wait for several months or a year and just look and wait till things like see what happens, as they say, or you can be part of the solution. And I think every company has a responsibility to be part of the solution. And specifically for RoboAds, we have a lot to offer. So I think we have three ways to offer in terms of RoboAds. Number one, we can spread awareness. So our robots can showcase videos of people wearing masks, washing their hands. A few days ago, we released new footage in the streets of Dubai where we had a camera on the robot and it was projecting augmented reality, where if someone is not wearing a mask, suddenly you will have a mask covering your face. So that's one way to help. Now, another way is through telepresence. One of the things that is happening today is that a lot of doctors and security staff are getting affected by the COVID-19. So, especially in cases where the patients are trying to check into hospitals or the police officers, for instance, are trying to support the public. And there's a lot of things that we could help here, where RoboAds can be the telepresence robot during that check-in period. Now, you might ask me, well, telepresence robot is not new. That's something's already available. Like, what do you bring to the table? Well, actually, when you look at RoboAds as a system, it's not only an all-in-one mobile kiosk, but it's also open for IoT hardware upgrades. So we have the capability to add thermometer camera, thermometer measurements, IoT hardware, medical hardware that could help the doctors, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so you can use this robot as a first contact with the people that appears on the police or on the hospital, and then you can actually do a real test on the spot of that person by measuring the temperature, for example, or even asking them for questions. So the doctor is remotely in another room, let's say on the same hospital, but is not taking contact with all these people, and they can even later when it is detected like an ill person, he can even lead the person to the proper room and go
exactly.
to the...
I mean, that's the check-in process. It's not thorough. Like, you want to know what's the temperature, the body temperature. That's number one question. And what are you feeling? It's literally a conversation. So for the initial period, I think we could cover that.
Okay. Great. And then, so your robot actually on the videos and pictures that I have seen, I will put a link to them there below on the show notes. So I see that you are using a mobile base that is a mobile base that is the one that performs the navigation, I presume, and in charge of the navigation. And then on top of that is when you have your displays, displays like making a prism. So it's four sides of this big displays on top. So why did you decide for this mobile base? Can I mention the company and so on?
Sure, definitely. I could actually mention it. So when we started looking into the concept of building RoboAds, we actually tested out with several different robots and with different heights. And we realized that with the base with inside that has to be installed on top of the robot, it has to be universal in a way where if the robot is a bit low or higher, then the screens have to be adjusted accordingly. So the way we built it, we built a universal stand holder which could fit on mainly any robot and in different heights and sizes. And that's part of the patent that we've submitted as well, where it's a universal stand holder. Now, when we looked at different robots, and there's a lot of good robots out there, we chose the Summit XL, the steel model from Robotnik. And we chose it for two reasons. One of the reasons is that it's a very, very good robot. It's a complete collaborative robot, so it's not customized only for warehousing or for specific tasks. No, it's multitask. And another thing is that the height is a bit high, so it's almost half a meter in height. So that helped in the stability of the screens. And thanks to Robotnik, also they did some customization, which I cannot talk about.
Okay.
So they did support us, of course.
Okay. Yes, I know the Summit XL from Robotnik. It's a very nice robot. So I have had this robot here in our premises and done some experiments and so on. It's really a very good robot. So yeah, I understand. But I didn't notice that on the videos and so on that you have to devise this universal platform. So actually what it means is that next generations, or maybe your next Robo Ads that you are going to build is going to have a different mobile base.
So the way, because when we started with a different robot that was extremely low, and we needed to raise the screens. And then when we decided to go for Robotnik, which was a bit higher, we had to lower down the screens a bit so it can go up to 2 meters. And then we realized that, wait a second, what if in the future we wanted to go from 55-inch screens to, let's say, 65-inch screens or 75-inch screens? Then we have to rebuild the whole stand again every time and customize it based on the different screens. What if we want, instead of having them, let's say, in portrait, we want them in vertical position? So the way we built it, we built a stand with different holes where the screens can go up or down or sideways, and it can accommodate any size of screen, let's say up to 100-inch screen.
Okay, that would be in meters. Sorry, I'm from Europe.
Okay.
just joking. Okay, we'll do the conversion. At some point in time.
Just pretty big, yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's big. So I have seen the videos and they look big. They look very big.
Just for the record, RoboAds is almost over 400 kilos.
Wow.
Yes, and it's over 2 meters high.
Okay, 2 meters.
It's a big robot.
So you can see the person, if it's, for example, for telepresence, you can see the person that you are talking in full size, almost full size.
That's the concept. We imagined, like, let's say someone walking in the mall, and you got the robot coming from the other side, and there's a real human-sized person wearing fashionable clothes, or having the right bag, or advertising the right, like, we wanted to have a real effect.
Okay, and then about sensors, the ones that you have included in this robot, which ones and for what purpose are you using them?
Definitely. So we have a lot of sensors, and the capacity to hold further sensors is almost unlimited. So also the way we designed it, one of the things that we faced during the trade shows is that we always needed, let's say, to have a barcode reader to scan the badges. And we thought, why don't we have a place to install all these barcodes readers on the robot itself? So that's one thing that we've added to it. Another option is the cameras. So today in data is gold. It's the new oil. And for advertisees, they want to know who watched the videos and what is the demography. So what we did is that the robot now, it analyzes the number of visitors, the gender, and the emotions, and even the gaze. So, and we compare that to the videos displayed. So if you have, let's say, several videos being displayed, you will be able to know the reaction of the people and how many people actually watch these videos, and that's what's important.
And also, and the reactions in front of a specific video, or even in the time of the video. So you can even measure the reaction as the video progresses. So
100%. Plus, when you have such a system, then you can also have a lot of play with the APIs. So let's say, for example, you want to advertise to females, let's say, or to a specific gender,
target,
or age group, certain targets. So you can display certain videos which would be triggered by the APIs based on the analytics.
Okay, so that means that you are using a camera for this. So you mentioned about this scanner also
Yes.
for the codes, for barcodes, and also you mentioned before that it could be incorporated a thermal sensor. And what about the navigation system? Because the robot has to navigate by itself. So it's using maybe the lasers of the Summit or something extra.
Yes. Now it's using two LiDAR scanners from the Summit XL.
Okay.
Plus, we're adding different sensors on the upper part, so they're connected to the ROS and they can work along with the lidars. So let's say there's an obstacle on top, so it will also see it as well.
Okay, that was my next question because so the robot is quite tall. So as you mentioned, it's about
Yes.
2 meters, and
Yes,
then
exactly.
so the lasers they are located on the at the bottom of
Mhm.
the base of the mobile base. But then so you can say, for example, that your robot is only working on under certain conditions or scenarios, the ones that you can ensure that there is no obstacle, but then you are kind of limiting your possible working
Well,
situation. So how do you
if
do in order to detect taller obstacles?
sure, sure. So basically, at this stage, our main focus is indoors. And we're always mapping everywhere we want to display the robot, so we know where we're going. Now, in
Okay.
terms of the possibilities to upgrade it, so we have space between the screens and on the upper part, so we can add different type of scanners, lidars, wherever we want to go to.
Okay, okay, okay. Then I would say that by default is the person who comes with the robot, the person who is in charge of making the mapping and switching it on. Then is the person who is going to take care of that during the mapping session.
Yes.
So it's going to
I mean,
define these areas are not possible to move because there
of
is
course.
whatever. Oh, okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's an advertising robot. So
Yeah.
here, it's when you talk about advertisement, it's very straightforward. The moment there's an obstacle, we want the robot to stop, because mainly if there's a human walking by, we want the robot to stop because now they're watching our advertisements. That's the concept.
It's true.
It's
It's
not like
true.
it, you might be naturally comparing to warehouses where the robot has to go somewhere and like there's a task in hand, but here no, it has to go. Let's say we map it from A, B, C, D. That's the map. That's it. That's
Yeah,
how it
that's
should go.
it. That's it. That's
Now,
it.
of
I
course,
got it.
in the future there's a lot of possibilities where we could target where there's human traffic. It could go by itself, but at this stage it's very specific.
Okay, okay, got
One
it.
thing I would like to also to add, which is still under development, that
Okay.
we haven't also talked about, or we haven't even showcased, we're also doing a lot of like analytics in terms of brand scanning, logo scanning, and the fashion industry by itself. So we
What does it
foresee in the
mean?
meaning, let's say in the future, this robo ads is moving around in a mall,
Okay.
and we want to know what kind of coffee you drink, what kind of
Ah,
what's the best selling brands out there, because this will help a lot in our market research, and we'll know like most people are wearing these days this type of t-shirt from this brand or this type of bag, etc. So
ah.
there's a lot of things that we're developing for the future.
Oh, that's very cool. That's very cool. So you can analyze the people that is actually moving around that mall. So then that information it can be provided to the mall itself or be sold to the different brands that are selling things there on the mall.
Exactly, and you've seen the robot base. It's kind of big, so we have a lot of space to use multiple cameras and different AI analytics, and everything is like it's rendered on the edge before sending it to the cloud.
Okay, okay, and then the robot. So this is the Ross Developers Podcast. Then, but still haven't talked about Ross. Yeah. Almost not,
Yes.
almost just a little bit. And so let's talk a little bit about ROS. Then, which ROS distribution are you using?
So we're using ROS Kinetic, and we're in like initial stages of development. But if you look at the overall concept, what we're looking forward to reach, where when we are renting out this robot, it should be easy to map and to have the robot up and running in no time. So what we're planning to do is to develop a complete cloud platform, which is makes it easier to map and to deploy the robot, so that we have the ability to deploy further robots all around the world.
Why does it has to be a cloud application, this navigation thing?
I mean, it's we call it's mainly edge computing. So everything is rendered on the edge, because
Okay.
you don't want the robot to go offline. So all the computers, all the hardware are on the robot. But
Okay.
when it comes to managing the software, we want the ability to manage it from the cloud. So the ROS will be sending all the data to a cloud platform, where the client will be able to run that platform online. And this will help in a lot of things. First of all, he will have also multiple type of softwares that he can manage on the cloud, which could include the videos, it could the content management, analytics, all the data will be in one platform.
Okay, yeah, it's like different apps that you can
Exactly.
activate or deactivate on that robot.
Exactly.
Okay, so
And
so
the more,
take into account. Let me give you advice from my experience. Okay, so in those places about the conferences and shows and so on, internet connection is very bad. I don't know if something is going to change with the 5G, but at present is terrible. It's terrible. So take that into account that your robot can be disconnected from the
sure.
Wi-Fi, from the internet at some point in time during.
Definitely. I mean, it's a very important point that you mentioned. So that's why we focused on having an edge computing platform, where even if the robot gets offline, it will still operate completely.
By
And
itself.
you can, yes, and you still be able to log into the server and directly manage the robot.
Uh-huh.
There's no change here. But at the same time, we've also taken our precautions. So we've deployed also a 5G router inside the robot. So that helps a lot.
Okay, so you prepare for the future.
Yes.
Okay, great, great. And then let me ask you one final question about ROS. Then, so you are using ROS Kinetic, and
Yes.
then so basically you are using ROS Kinetic for the control, if I understand correctly, for the control of the mobile base. So that means for the task of creating the map, localizing, moving, or
Exactly.
navigating, and so on. And are you using ROS for anything else than that on the platform? So, for example, you mentioned about one content management system that is included into the robot. Is that a different application, completely separated? Do they have any interaction with the ROS system?
At this stage, it's completely separated,
Okay.
because at the initial stages, we don't want to mix up the navigation with the videos being displayed. However, in the future, and that's our second development that will take place,
Okay.
where the robot is completely automated, and the content management system is connected to the ROS. We can take an example where the robot is moving, and then the cameras detect a large crowd,
Exactly.
and then it sends it triggers an action for the ROS to take that robot to that crowd, and then there's another API which is sent to the content management to
Correct.
showcase a new video. So we're gonna get there, but at this stage, that's still under development.
Yeah, okay, I understand. You just launch it. So this is just the first step, and that's the proper approach. So let's start with a basic product that does the things very, very well, basic, and then if that is accepted by the clients and people, so you get momentum, then incorporate new features, new improvements, and so on. So makes sense. Makes
Exactly.
sense.
there's a lot of opportunities, but we don't want to get drawn in these opportunities. So we're gonna take it step at a time.
Step by step. Okay. So then that is all from my side. So I think that you have I have another question that was your plans of the future, but you have already explained. So I think that we can leave our interview here, and it's been a pleasure to have you here. Let me tell you that when I saw, so how did I discover about your product? I didn't explain that, but it's very funny because so we have an academy, as I mentioned, that is a Robot Ignite Academy, and then we do have a specific course that teaches how to program the Summit XL from Robotnik. So this is a specific course, and then we have an agreement with Robotnik, so they can sell a bundle. When they sell those mobile bases, they also sell together a course access and long life access course. And then so somebody from your company decided told me, hey, please activate this coupon for this because we have bought this bundle and so on. And then I said, oh, ROBOAds, what's a nice name. And then I went to check and said, wow, that's a very cool idea. Because it's a practical product. It's something real that you can build and you can sell. So that's why I get amazed, and then that's why I contact you for the interview.
It was my pleasure.
Okay. So thank you very much, Faysal.
Thank you so much, and hopefully you hear a lot about us in the future.
Oh, I hope so. Maybe we meet at the ROSCON in November this year, maybe? It's
hopefully,
in the States.
I'm looking forward.
Okay.
That would be wonderful.
Okay.
Then you'll meet ROBOAds at that time.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you, Faysal.
All right. Thank you
very much. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Thank you to all the listeners of the podcast. So see you next week with a new lesson from the experts. And until then, remember, keep pushing your ROS learning.